Well, it's Jan Copeland, my lovely wife, and I am so glad that I get to actually interview you. I hear you interviewing so many people throughout the day, and now it's my turn to interview the best of the best, right? And I know that you've been working hard. I mean, really hard on this Listing Queen Summit, and you've hand selected 21 amazing people. Jan, tell us a little bit about your background.
Thank you, hon. I'm so excited to infuse you into my business. All right, well, ladies, my background is that I came from blue collar stock. I was raised in a home that was about 1,000 square feet with 6 kids, mom, dad, and dog. Okay. So, but I loved it. I didn't know we were poor. It's just what I loved, and it's the only thing I knew. My twin and I were the first ones to go to college, and we're the babies. And my twin on a scholarship, myself, I had to pay the bill on my own. And I did it in 3 years because I was really committed to it. I paid my own way. So I want to share with you that I always felt called to help women, even as a little girl, because my mom was lived her entire life. She's gone now, lived her entire life depressed, feeling less than, and horrible things happened to her as a kid. But I didn't understand why she was so sad all the time, because all I ever saw was that she had a beautiful family and that we had, what I thought was a good life. So, anyway, I've always had that heart for women, which is why I'm now a coach. And I had a team full of women too. But after college, I went into outside sales, and I have a story that I'm going to share with you guys really quickly about that. Is that my major was in retail, and the cell phone company, which is now Verizon Wireless, had stores. And back then it was called Bell Atlantic Mobile Systems in 1999. And really quickly, I went in for outside sales. They had an opening for outside sales. And the woman said, yes, I want you to work in the store, retail sales. And I said, thank you, but I'm not interested. I packed up my stuff, walked out. As I was in the parking lot, she came after me and she said, tell me why you think I should hire you for outside sales. You have no experience. And to be honest, I didn't even know what outside sales meant. I had no idea, but I didn't want to be, because a friend of mine was a pharmaceutical sales rep and they got a car, and I'm like, that's what I want. And so she hired me on the spot. I had, guts. So I had a 10-year career with that company. And it was the first time that I'd made over $100,000 in an annual salary. And they were grooming me. I did different positions, sales manager, blah, blah, blah. I did well. And my last position was as a senior director of sales and marketing for the Northeast region of then AT&T Wireless, where I had responsibility for just about 400 people. And until I met you, Dan, on the internet,
Yeah.
and then we got married. Anyway,
I did a big sales job to get you to come to Virginia.
so yeah. So I left everything I knew in Pennsylvania, and I moved to an area. First, we moved to DC, and then you got a job in Winchester, Virginia, where we didn't know a soul. And ladies, I listened to Dan. I listened to my husband, because he said, hey, you love interior design, you love houses, why don't you get your realtor's license? Boom, I listened to my husband. Next thing you know, I knew not one person in that area, but I grew to be a top realtor with the #1 team. And I was actually number 24 team in the nation. Because I was looking back at my awards in the ERA franchise, number 24 in the whole nation, top three, number 3 in customer reviews. Our team had great customer reviews. And that was before selling it about 5.5 years ago to a top team member, so I could pivot to full-time coaching. So that is my background.
Now, you definitely are non-conventional and definitely not a rule follower. Tell us how that might have helped you grow as well, just that personality trait.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so I have 3 stories that I want to share that really reiterates this, ladies. And I want you attendees to really think about which of these stories resonates with you, or maybe all 3. So the first one is that when I started out, I had a mentor. And it was I don't know, 2006, 2007, and I think it was 2006, and we went, and there was a big sticker. She had a buyer appointment. There was a big sticker on the front door, and it said Wells Fargo, something about Wells Fargo. So we showed it, and I was just taking notes. She was my mentor, and I'm taking notes on what she did that I liked and what she did that I didn't like. And so we're on the way back to the office, and I go, hey, how did that lady get to be the listing agent of that house? And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, there's a big sticker on it. It's Wells Fargo. Have you tried to reach out to Wells Fargo and become a listing agent? And she laughed. She goes, Jan, you're so cute. You have to have like 20 plus years experience. You have to know somebody in there. Like, good luck. You know, I said, well, I was going to try it. And she goes, you've had your license for a month. I don't understand. Anyway, so then I went back to the office and talked to my broker, and she said the same thing, kind of like, you're sweet. Go ahead and try. It's not going to happen. And so I filled out the form and prayed, and I was chosen. Okay. So that's shows some tenacity and some, like, you know, I just trusted that if it was to me, if it was to be, then God would allow it to be, because when I filled out the form, it said you had to have at least 2 years experience selling foreclosures. Well, I didn't have any experience selling anything, but I got it. Okay. The second story was as I was, you know, moving up the ranks, as they say, in like my second year there, when I had started my team, everybody was telling me that I wouldn't beat this person who's a gentleman that was in my market because he was number one. And I was also told that it was a good old boys network there, and it was third generation money, third generation hometown brokers, and things of that sort. So what I wanted to share with you was, this is a really pivotal point in my career, ladies, so please listen. My mom was dying, and you know, I'm from PA, Berks County, Pennsylvania, part Pennsylvania Dutch background. And so we're on the drive to PA, and I got a call from one of the good old boys, broker owners, third generation. And I had he was a listing agent on a he was listed it for 1.7 million. And I had buyers that bought it for 1.3 million, ladies, listen. And I had put out a just sold postcard to all the homes in my market that had a tax assessment over $1 million. Okay. And so he called and he said, you know, hey, Jan, I have a bone to pick with you. Very mean, very mean. And I said, hey, such and such, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm actually driving because my mom, you know, I'm told she has, you know, is dying at this point, and I don't have time for this. That didn't stop this gentleman. And Dan, you remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he just continued to tell me that I better get a good attorney because the seller is pissed that I told all his friends from the country club that he only got 1.3 mil for his house when it was listed for 1.7. And I was shaking because I was already upset about my mom, ladies. And then this guy who was a powerhouse, you know, I was shaking. And I just prayed. And then I thought, wait a minute, this is public information. You can't sue me for this. So I just said, I let him talk. And then I said, hey, let me tell you something, dude. You are so rude. Like, my mom's dying and you don't give a shit, number one. Number two, I said, this is public information. So you need to calm your clients down, and I welcome their lawsuit because they'll be laughed out, and so will you. Click. Okay. So that's the second story. Tells you about, you know, it's hard, ladies. When you start succeeding, they come after your butt. Okay. Here's the third one. The third one is, I don't know about y'all, but I never really liked networking, but I knew that it was kind of a necessary evil. And so I thought, well, why didn't I like networking? Well, the reason I didn't like networking was because it was so cliquish and I didn't fit in. I'm from Philly area, and you hear my accent. And I moved to a southern town where people said five and back there, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I just stood out like a sore thumb, right? And so I just didn't fit in. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start something which is now called Women of Winchester, a networking group just for women. And my marketing was no clicks. Everyone is loved. Everyone is included. Okay. You remember that, Dan?
I do very well.
And well, anyway, like a night or two before we were going to kick off, where we had over 100 people. So it really did resonate. My friend, who was one of the ambassadors on the chamber, said, "Hey, Jan, I don't want to work you up, but there's an all hands meeting called tonight to talk about you and talk about your group that you're starting and how they can shut you down." Now, ladies, I was already making multiple six figures. I didn't need to do that. But because, as I told you before, I wanted to help women, I had a heart for women. And I know that I always felt like a jerk. I always felt like a misfit when I went to chamber events. And I thought, no, I want to create something where everybody's going to feel loved, right? So I bawled my eyes out and I said to Dan, my husband, I don't think I'm going to do it. I don't need it. I'm making a great living. I don't need this headache. Dan, do you remember what you said?
Tell me.
You said, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Absolutely.
And so, ladies, I was willing to be hated by the third and fourth generation rich people there and the people that lived there. I was willing to do that because I had over 100 ladies that I knew wanted this. Okay. So those are the three stories.
So Jan, about story number 2, the real miracle was that I didn't turn that car around and go after that guy. That's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
I also, about your number 3, I remember coming by and helping you load up the car and get everything ready and all. But the women, they were all smiles. And they just talked about the love and everything that was in the room. So yeah, I absolutely have fond memories of that. But shame that you had to overcome all of those kinds of obstacles in order just to do something good in the world. But you did. So real
And it's
proud of
still
you for
going
that.
on. Thanks, hon. It's still going on, and they still have about 80 to 100 people, and it just warms my heart.
So let's talk about the path that ladies think is required to be a listing queen, like all of the hustle. And I remember that you worked a lot, and then all of a sudden it seemed like you didn't work a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Okay. So it's the difference between the hustle and hard work. All right. So, ladies, so many, like, I feel like we're conditioned as women to think that we can do everything and we can juggle a million things at once. And maybe we can. Maybe God made us that way, but it's not sustainable. And so the difference between hustle and hard work is that hustle, how you feel when you're in hustle mode, which is like Dan said, that I worked all the time, was it's out of fear. It's like, oh, I got to keep going. It's exhausting, right? Whereas hard work, which it does take, especially when you're getting your business off the ground, and as you ladies are becoming listing queens, it's going to be hard work. It feels good because it's fueled with passion, right? Just like when I started Women of Winchester, it felt good. It was work, but it was filled with passion. And by the way, as CEOs, ladies, we need to be able to turn it on and turn it off. So I work from, I get up early. So I work from like 6 and I'm done at 4. When I was a realtor, I would do what I had to do. But I always knew when my work time was and my off work time. And I wanted to share that, one of the ladies on my team went to an AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous, because she had she admitted she had a problem and she wanted to get help. And she said, Jan, 80% of the people in that room were top agents. And Dan and I had marital problems, as I've shared, because we weren't connecting because I worked too much, right, Dan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of work.
So the solution is that you become, through saying no to the hustle, you deepen your belief in how awesome your service is to your clients, and you get to live the CEO agent lifestyle. And ladies, there's 4 levels of real estate agents. There's you start off as hidden, then you become distracted, right? Because you're like looking at everybody. Then you become attractive. At that level, you're making 100,000 plus a year, and that's where people stop. They think, oh, this is the way it is. Ooh, hustle. No, there's a 4th level, and it's CEO agent level, where you are living that CEO agent lifestyle, which is making great money, serving great clients while living a great life. So,
Well, Jan, it's been an honor interviewing you. I've appreciated this opportunity, but before we conclude, what are your final words for the 2000 Listing Queen attendees?
yes, I actually had two things. I've always been a renegade. I've always done things my way. And so I don't like rules. So I'm going to talk about that. Ladies, there are so many brokers. I mean, I have clients in 38 states. I added them up. Okay. So 38 states. And I would say 95% of the brokers are still saying, get on the phones. They're still saying cold call. They're still giving you this like supposed correct path that you need to take. And those of my clients who are making $300, $400, $500, $1 million plus, what they're telling me is that first I need a buyer's agent or two. And then I'm like, no, who said that? You can set it up however the heck you want, right? So, but I started thinking, what is the standard? Ladies, listen to me. It's all focused on you. It's an obsession with you. Like, how am I going to get my next deal? How am I going to hit my numbers? You know, Marsha, me. Okay, that's bad. That's bad. So I thought, you know what? When I got out of the hustle, it's when I flipped it. I flipped that narrative. And what I decided to do was focus in on others, 3 others. So please hear me on this. First of all, I focused on my clients through creating a concierge, up-leveled client experience. Okay. Number 2, I focused on my peer other business women and that's why I created Women of Winchester, because I became the referrer. I just got so many. I would meet at Panera twice a week with other women in business. I didn't care if they were Mary Kay. I didn't care if they owned a jewelry store, if they were a lawyer. I wanted to meet with as many women as possible and become the connector. Okay. So I focused on them. First, I focused on my clients and their experience with me and my team. Then I focused on other business people, because entrepreneurs, we have to support each other. And then thirdly, my tribe. And those are my contractor, my class A, my class C, my landscaper, my painter. And I would bring them beer and I would give them gift cards. And I just really poured into them. And the second thing that I wanted to end with, and the last thing that I want to end with, was that, ladies, you have an opportunity. Okay. You heard my story and I'm no different than you. You have opportunity. I've helped my clients go from being $100,000 in credit card debt to paying that off, to buying houses, to becoming investors, to becoming listing queens. One of them, Michelle Dakota, you're going to hear, and she gets 77% commission on 75% of her listings. She would have never thought that 3.5 years ago before she met me. Okay. I want you to know that you have opportunity to do this. You can be your market's next listing queen. And it starts with one action and then one closing, one by one. It starts with a decision and a commitment and your diligent execution. And again, laying that solid foundation of an amazing up-leveled client experience and naming it. You're going to hear from Elisa Cole Murphy this coming week, or maybe you already did. I can't remember when this is going to be airing, but she has the cool method. It starts with a conversation and ends with life everlasting, like a beautiful life everlasting, because it ends with L. And in the middle is outperforming and out strategizing. Okay, that's her signature methodology. We got Michelle Dakota, who's also a speaker. She's going to end our session on day 7, and she has the perfect method. Would you have enough guts to go out there and say, use me to list your home? I have the perfect method. Takes guts, but it's available for you. And if you need support, that's what I'm here for. That is what I do every day. That's it. So thank you so much, ladies. I hope that this has been enlightening for you, and we'll see you soon.